I stuck around for another 7 years. Had a bunch of things that happened in my life during that time, and I kind of decided I'm gonna get out of corporate life. I was on a plane 250 days a year, 100 countries, non-stop travel, wasn't home much. For 17 years, pretty much traveled 250 flights a year. More than most pilots, by the way.
Right.
So when I got out, I decided, I told my wife, I'm gonna stop this. I'm gonna get off the corporate hamster wheel. I remember sitting in a chair, I was just leaving Dubai, and I said, I wanna let you know I'm gonna quit. Little did she know, I quit 6 months earlier, and I was on my last 2 weeks. And it's just because I had to do it, right? And a lot of things drove me to the real estate side. I think that piece is what's important in the whole puzzle. I truly believe in service. I believe in servicing people. I believe in being kind to people. And also I believe that if you don't tell people what you do, they're never gonna know you did it. And a lot of people have this misconception that it's chest pumping or pounding, but it really isn't. People want to do good things. I truly believe. I see that I'm a fire chief. I truly see it with people that they want, but they need direction. They need to be told, hey, I'm doing this, come along with me. So whenever you see anything here, just note that as I go through the presentation, a lot of it's gonna be about what digital is in real estate, what I think digital is. In corporate world, I was kind of the, I'll call it the fix-it guy. So a company had a problem, I would come in and design the fix. Panera Bread said, we don't know why, but our managers aren't effective at all. So I went and I sat in a Panera Bread for 3 weeks, sipping a cup of coffee, watching their managers, and their managers didn't know it, and I redesigned their whole front-end process. That was my background, is problem solving, technology. So you're gonna get a lot of tech here, I'm gonna forewarn you. The cool thing is, at the end, I have a QR code. You know how to use them post-COVID, which pretty much everyone does because they couldn't order from a menu in a restaurant. Every single thing that's in my tech stack is up here for grabs. I'm not selling you anything. I'm a pay-it-forward person. I know sooner or later I'm gonna do a deal with one of you guys. You're gonna be like, that guy's a good guy, he's gonna do work, he's gonna deliver on what he promised. That's why I'm here today. And I promised my wife, because she was pretty skeptical when I got out of corporate life. I was home for 2 months and I was listening to podcasts nonstop, and I started to get creative again. And when I was lowering the deck, a perfectly good deck on my house, lowering it, don't know why, I was bored, she opened the door and said, you need to find a job. Like, you need to do something, you're gonna need to do something. And I said, I got it, real estate. And she goes, well, why don't you just go sell used cars? She's like, you're a corporate executive, and now you're gonna go to real estate. And I said, no, you don't understand. We're gonna do it differently. We're gonna change it, and we're gonna be digital. I'm gonna bring the things I learned from my corporate world into this, but also made it up with customer service. And in my corporate world, we had this broadcast message. It was me to many, not me one-on-one. So I can assure you, when I sat down for my first listing appointments, I was watching their face and their micro expressions, and when I said that one word that was wrong that cost me a listing appointment, I knew exactly what I said wrong, because I wasn't used to the one-to-one sales. I was selling to a mass, right, talking to people. So I became very astute at the things that worked and didn't work. If through the presentation, I'm gonna talk and I'm gonna show you examples. I'm not gonna tell you what I do, I'm gonna show you what I do. And a lot of it is about being you. So I imagine everyone in the room has some kind of community involvement of some sort, right? Whether it's nonprofits, church. That in itself is the sales piece. Now, you don't have to sell a thing, just do the right thing and it will come to you. That's the best part about it. But it's really, the whole premise of this digital real estate piece is, it's here, it's now. I'm gonna tell you what I say in a listing appointment. I think some of you will be pretty shocked. I think you'll be pretty, and right now, last year, so when Bob gave some of the stats, I should give those stats. My team, which was a team of 10, we did 190, well, we're on target to close 191 transactions, just under $100 million. We've never missed a goal that we've set. Next year, our goal is 450 sides. And that's with the existing team that's there. That's not even including stretch goals or anything like that. And the reason that we're doing it is, I know predictably that that's gonna happen because of digital. Data speaks every single time, right? So when I talk about data, it's facts. And 100%, I just saw Axios had a survey that said 100% of people start online. So when you think that 90-year-old grandmother that's gonna sell their home that they've had forever, is gonna start with calling an agent, 100% of people, Steve Jobs created the iPad with a finger, right? We can all look and they can operate that way. 100% start online now, that's the statistic. Now what's even crazier is 76% find their own home. When I sit down in I call it a buyer strategy session, you can call it a buyer's consultation, whatever it is. When I sit down, I tell them, congratulations. And they go, what do you mean? I go, well, I want to congratulate you because you're going to find your own home. I'm going to win. Because I can put on all the search alerts I want, but 99% of our clients end up finding their home. Why? Because Zillow syndicates it faster than we do, and our MLS does. They're able to get that information. So now my job is a very critical one, right? Save them pain and suffering, make it easy, and save them money, right? Saving money means don't get them into a nightmare of a home inspection if you see it. If you see it, say it. It's a crazy term, right? So when we talk about it, my value isn't in the 76%, it's everything else around that, and I know it. I know what it is. I know I can craft a deal, I know I can fix problems, I know I can do those things, and that's what our real job is today. Putting a search alert is like as rudimentary as it can be, right? When the books went away and the search alerts came, everyone's doing that. Honing it down, does anyone hone down a search alert any differently than I do? We're all pretty much doing the same thing, right? So the point of differentiation for us is what we do in addition to that, right? Looking at the home. When someone calls me and sends me a Zillow, I say, I love it when you send me a Zillow listing via text, and I'll give you all the information you can't see on Zillow. That's how I position it. I'll tell you everything you can't see. So when they send it, I'll say, yeah, you know what? We were in that house at so-and-so house, and that kitchen wasn't for you. I'm looking at the picture on Zillow, and I can tell you, based on the size of that refrigerator and on the kitchen cabinet, that sink is too small for you. That's the value I bring, is that I prevent us from having to go show. My buy-side ratio is 3 offers to every 1 sale, right? I know my data. That's the thing that I'm talking about. It's like a business to me. I don't get up in the morning, like, could I retire? Probably. Do I want to? No way. Retirement is death to me, right? I have a lot of good friends in the fire service, in the corporate world. They retired and they died soon after. I want to run real estate until I'm 90 years old. Right, maybe 190 years old. So, but I think that the thing that worries me a little bit is that most realtors, the tech that they use is e-signature, MLS, and email. What is our business though? People and prospecting. It's truly a prospect. Without prospects, without potential clients, we have nothing. Can't sell anything to anyone that doesn't get it, and we don't get a commission unless we sell, right? So I look at those 3 and go, well, we're using the wrong stuff. We have to use the other things that bring clients to us, and then that's all kind of like, all right, I'll use it. I tell you, I hate using Dotloop. I hate using those platforms because, quite honestly, they don't make me money. The things that make me money is making videos. The things that make me money is sending videos for, has anyone ever done a deal with me in here? I apologize.
Done what?
I've done a deal with me. I know I've done some with your office, I just don't think.
I can't.
Every single offer gets a video. And I have agents call me all the time and say, we show it to everybody in the office. And it's not me, hi, this is Glenn Baker. I'm presenting my offer to you on this house. That's not how I present. I present like I'm talking to their client. And you know what the best part is? When I send that, and I'll talk a little bit about that when I show you the video. When I send my video off with my offer, the first time it gets watched by the agent, 100%. Why do I know that? Digital, I track it. So it literally tells me they watched 100% of the video. And all agents do, which is good news. That's a kudos for us for being professionals and going through, right? Because I'm presenting something to you. And then, about an hour later, I'll see 6, 7 opens on the email and half watches through. And when I see 6 or anything above 5, I've won the deal. Every time. I've won the buy-side deal every single time once I have 5 watches or above. And the reason is, they're sending it to all their family members and they're going, I don't know, he looks like an honest guy. I think I look like Opie, but he's like, I look like an honest guy, right? But they're forwarding my message on, which is exactly what I want. I don't see anything typically that's fair housing non-compliant. I try to be very good about that. But I'll tell you what, I had a client, and someone asked me this because you're gonna see a video of it. I had a client who had a very unique scenario. I've sold 5 different homes to their family. They have a son, soon to be son, they're adopting the son, Mikey. Mikey is 3 years old and severely disabled. Malpractice suit, he won it. And the way that the trust works is, you have to have about 4 months to close. Cash deal has to appraise with 2 different appraisals and 4 months to close. Sounds like a pretty difficult buy, right? I would think so, because you can't overbid, right? The condition's a huge issue and the trust won't approve it without it. I sent a message explaining Mikey's story, because that story mattered for someone to say, you know what, we'll stick around. We'll wait the 4 or 5 months. So we're closing on the 29th, I think it's 29th, that's what the date is, at the end of the month. But it was the video that made the difference. So do sometimes you have to put a personality to it? Yes. And I'm gonna say that probably wasn't the most fair housing compliant one. But I had right, but I had the most desperate of situations, because how are these folks gonna get Mikey a home that he can live in without explaining that story? Who's gonna sit for 5 or 6 months? And we're gonna actually be almost at the 6-month point when it closes, right? Who's gonna sit that long on a home in Sparta, hot area? They couldn't leave Sparta, they only could be in Sparta, and we won it for that reason. So use your common sense, right? Don't get yourself in trouble. In that instance, the other person on the other side was an agent who was selling the house, and we worked out a deal. But the video sold it. I could never relay that any other way effectively, right? There's just no other way to do that. So when I talk about it, I say, what is your digital identity? What do people see of you, right? Do they see the realtor that just puts up just solds? Do they see the realtor that is personable, involved in their community, doing events, and loves on their clients like they wouldn't believe? Like, what's the piece that you want to put out there? I can tell you that it was a weird phenomenon. I actually was going to stop doing video, and I'm going to talk a lot about video, but all about digital. I was going to stop. I started 90-day cycles. I do everything because of corporate world in 90-day cycles. I try everything in 90 days. So when I experiment, it's 90 days, and I don't quit until the end of the 90 days. I was at day 60, and I'm like, I'm busting my butt doing videos, interviewing every single place on Main Street in Boonton. I'm talking to people. I'm doing every nonsensical tire shop guys, you name it. And I was about to stop. And then I went to a bar in town. I'm sitting there, and a guy walks by and he goes, "Hey, you're the video guy. You did the video on," and I was like, wow, somebody recognized me. So I was like, maybe I'll stick with this a little bit longer. And sure enough, it was like you just turn the faucet on afterwards. It became that thing. But when I say video, it doesn't mean one piece. It's not just me telling you something about real estate or telling you something about a fire department. I'm painting a picture. The picture gets pretty damn weird sometimes. So I went to a dinner. Anyone ever heard of the 200 Club? You ever heard of the 200 Club? So it's an organization that recognizes first responders for heroic duties, valor, things like that. And I went to one because this video. And we had 7 saves. 7 human beings were pulled out of a building right before Christmas. They would have died, without a doubt, without the firemen intervening. So I go to this dinner, and I'm with my 3 chiefs, and we're in full regalia. We look like we stormed an island because we have all our stuff on. And a person literally walks right between the other 2 chiefs I'm talking to, my guys, comes in and gives me a hug. Roxbury guy, I didn't know. I know him from Facebook. Every once in a while I'd see him. Gives me a hug and then walks away, and they go, "You're tight with that guy?" I go, "I don't even know him." Like, I've never spoken to him in my life before. So a little later, I go to the meat carving station. He's there. And he says, "I watch all your videos." And then I was like, holy cow, he thinks he has a relationship with me. And I said, he does. Like, that was the piece I had to come to terms with. He actually does have a relationship with me, because I don't put anything out that I don't want people to see. And if they're seeing it and they're interacting with me, then it's a relationship. And it's odd for people that didn't come from the generation of this, where social media is that way. If you look at it the other way around, it's funny. Well, I came from Weichert, just so you guys know. I apologize for that. And I came from Weichert in Mountain Lakes, and I was sitting day 2 in real estate, and a woman said to me, "I don't do any of that social stuff. I don't want anyone knowing my business." And I said to her, "Great. What was your maiden name again?" And then I gave her the last 4 digits of her social security number within a minute. I said, the perception of privacy is nonsensical. There is no privacy today. So I said that I'm not suggesting you go on vacation and tell everyone you're on vacation so they loot your house. I wouldn't say that ever. What I do say is be present and know that when I'm doing a listing appointment, the number one thing I give them is, I usually 5 slides. I do a 5-slide listing appointment. Super simple, right? The comps with what I say it's worth, and it's not MLS sheets, it's a kind of graphically involved one. I give them the 3 things you should be asking any realtor that you're interviewing. I tell them the question I want them to ask. I suppose it to them. Number 1 on the list is, when did they last post on social media? You can't say you do social media if you post last March, right? You can't. It's just not, it's disingenuous, right? So immediately, what am I doing? And then I say, and if they don't run any ads ever, they really don't know social media, because they can't publish your listing on social media without an ad, right? Now, I just posed a question and let them come to their conclusion, right? But I suppose it because I know if they go check me out, they're gonna see a gazillion ads. They're gonna see tons of media posts. And who's gonna get selected? The agent that doesn't, or the agent that does? So, and I don't call agents names, I just say, check out Facebook Library. Because in the 2016 election, Facebook then had to tell who was paying for ads because of all the stuff going on in politics, right? Now it's available to everyone to see. So you can see every ad everyone's running at any time. And when last night someone said something, I won the ugly sweater contest in our office last night. It was pretty ugly and almost embarrassing. But that sweater was delivered to me by Facebook because I was talking about it 2 hours earlier. And then I pop up, I go, well, that's pretty ugly. And I bought it off off of Amazon. And then I got an Amazon gift card to pay for the ugly sweater that I got. It was kind of neat. So my point being is who you present to the market is super important. I went down and genuinely the guy's name, you can check it out, I'm not making it up, is Ron Howard. Ron Howard is a realtor in Maryland. I went down and did this presentation for them. And Ron's rule is every agent on his team has to do at least 24 transactions. You can't be on the team unless you do 24 transactions. He's super rigid about his time, and I asked him some questions, and he said, I don't really do video that much, but he goes, I would like to carve 1 hour a day and just do the video type work. He came back and said that he tacked on $7.5 million in the first month. Now he's a big hitter, he does a lot of transactions. So when I talk about like how it works, I have practical cases for this. I'm gonna show you people that have done it on my team in particular. And the stuff that you need to do it is not sophisticated. It genuinely is really not that sophisticated at all. And as I promised, at the end there'll be a QR code and you can download it, and it's everything I use and how I use it. So every app that I'm gonna talk about, everything I'm gonna use, it's in there. So you're more than welcome to it. So when I talk about this, like this video came out about just under a year ago.
The real life heroes
And-
making a difference in your community.
I'll just show a snippet of it. But what it brought to me was an amazing amount of business.
Our first instinct was, check next door if everything was good. But then we opened up the door and everything was just all smoky in there.
At a little after 11 p.m., we got a report of a working structure fire.
We went by the eggs and dust when everything was just like on fire.
The building entirely is on fire.
Johnny, we got people trapped inside.
I was considering throwing myself out the window, but then you have a baby, so it's like that's out of the window, that option.
There was 15 calls stacked, which meant neighbors were calling and others saw it, so we knew that it was a real job.
It was terrible.
So, give you the background, 7 people, 3 dogs saved, which is great. When this video came out, I wasn't even supposed to, I didn't want to be in it. I was trying to get the crew, which my son was one of the crew, to do this video. And they came to us and said, we do this video to reunite you with the people you saved, which very rarely happens. We do car wrecks all the time, things like that. We never get to meet the people we help afterwards. They all just fade away. In this instance, they want to put us together with a family. So I was like, the people that had hands on them. I'm a chief. If I have hands on, it's really bad, by the way. But if you're those guys who did it, like my son Ryan, he was the one who threw in his socks the ladder that ultimately was the rescue. Like these guys did true heroism. So I said, I don't want to be a part of the video, and they said one chief has to, and the other 2 chiefs hated video. So they basically made a vote, and then I walk in the room and they go, by the way, you're doing the video today. And I was upset. And that video, my face, the way that I went about it is not the normal Glenn, because I was not happy I was doing the video, right? But the byproduct of the video is that every single member of my team has now done a deal this year with a fire service member. So here's why. We're a very loyal bunch. We're a very cultish and cliquish bunch, type A bunch. When the fire service sees someone that actually makes a grab, as they call it, suddenly you're the real deal. 25 years in the fire service, I've cut tons of people out of cars. I've done tons of pets. You don't get hands on a human being very often. It is 1 in a gazillion. It's very rare. Why? Because smoke detectors, all those things that we hate having to do right before closing, there's good reason for them, I promise. It's helped, it truly has. But once you get, and the job brings you a grab, all of a sudden you're the real deal fireman. And everyone takes you as not being a BSer. Now, in the fire service, you'll notice a lot of people roaming around that have these awesome things on their chest, the Maltese crosses they call it. Not all of them are people who are bellying into a fire or cutting a person out of the car. Many of them are helping us, right? They're support members. So when you get to that, it suddenly changes the dialogue, right? I realized when that video came out, it was a super important part to making a statement that I'm a part of the community. And then I thought to myself, I'm damn proud of what I do. Why am I keeping that from people? So I started to post we have helmet cams and we have some crazy things. All of a sudden, interaction from the community went off the charts. So if you're in a church group and you're doing a Thanksgiving event, why not? What if you get 10 more volunteers? Heavy hands make, more hands make light work? Is that what the saying is? So if you bring 10 more people, are you doing a disservice promoting that? No, it really isn't. It's a mindset. It's how we've been programmed. Don't ask, don't look for recognition, don't do that. But the recognition brings more people to help more people. It's almost silliness. I always say to my team, if you let that agent who never makes the phone call back get the listing, you're doing a disservice to those people. You genuinely have let them do that if you aren't the one trying to help. So when we talk about it, I blend up completely in my social. If you look at my social feed, my fire, dog fostering, my involvement in community events, my involvement a little bit in politics, I'm not a politician, I fire everyone. And on the other side, professional real estate agent. And it all ties together. It all blends up. And everyone has their thing they do. Everyone has something they're interested in, something they take care of. You just have to identify it and say, I do this, but I've never really told anyone I do it. So when I talk about professional, there's a piece that is professional. If your feed today, and I'm not picking on anybody, if your feed just says, just sold, over asking, the real estate community is gonna be clapping you on, and if you look at all the comments, it's either gonna be family or real estate agents, right? It's not any of the people that are buying your services. They don't care about that. They care that you care about them. And that is a very difficult message sometimes to get out. So I purposely put together professional cued videos, I'll call these. Everyone should
I've been
have
blessed to
something
grow
like
up in
this.
Newark, Jersey, and reside
Just
here
tell
for
your
my
story
entire
real
life.
quick, right?
I'm a serial entrepreneur
1
who's
minute.
built and sold various companies. Morris Agent is my last love. I've traveled to over 100 countries and 48 contingent states. This gives me a unique global perspective while being locally focused. Every client has different needs. I'm a listener. I formulate and I solve problems. Buying, I love the discovery process and being the Sherpa guiding my client. I'm a realtor climbing the attic or crawl space, giving honest thoughts. Selling, we crush it. Our marketing is sophisticated years ahead of the competitors. Investing, I'm an investor myself. I talk the talk, do the calculations, and treat investments like my own. Renting, I see renting as step one to ownership. I get you in the right position, the right place.
I'm gonna go ahead. So I touched on the question that we all get asked. How's the real estate market? Right? And the answer for me is always, it depends. Are you buying, selling, investing, or renting? Right? 4 things that we really do mostly. I touched on all of those and told people why each of those were my people, were my tribe, right? Why you want to do business with me. So this was, while it's very prescribed and unlike me now, I was a suit guy when I got into corporate, I'm a little less, more like this now. But when I did it, I purposely wanted to make sure that if I sent this out blindly or someone went to YouTube and found me, I gave the message that I cover the big bases. I care enough to cover those bases, that I'm not just a listing agent. Now, truth be told, out of the transactions we had, I probably had 90 this year, and I gave the others out to the team because I'm growing the team, right? That's what team leaders do. They give leads to their people. So those leads that went out, I don't really always want to deal with rentals. I don't always want to do it, but I certainly will take it and give it to a team member, right? And take some kind of split off that. So I'm not short-sighted and ever would say, I do predominantly listings, but I do some of the other things too. And that's what was covered in there. Now, when I talk to every agent under the sun, if this is I call it the commission roller coaster. Everyone's been on it. Me, I actually take a salary. I have a corporation set up. All the commissions go into the corporation, and I take a regular paycheck. I have no idea what commissions are. I couldn't tell you what my last commission was. And the reason is, if it was, I'd probably be face down in a crack house. If I knew, I'd be, buy a car, buy this, do that, I'd be all over the place. I just know my personality, so I don't do it. I set up myself for success, so I know. But now, mind you, you better feed the hopper that's gonna give you your payroll, right? So I make no mistake that I understand that business is business, but when I get a paycheck, I get a flat paycheck every month, and I don't pay myself anymore. And I think what that does is it gets me off the commission roller coaster, because I wake up every morning unemployed, and I do the work every day. And that work involves everything I'm showing you today. I consider it my job to do that. It's not optional, it's not something else I do. This is lead generation for me. And that's why I stress that. And it's actually quite fun. I have to tell you, like, when I go out and I interview somebody, it's a boatload of fun. Like, and people get nervous, and here's what I do to them. I say to them, hey, we're gonna do the video, and I'll act like I turn it on, and I go through the whole interview, I'm like, and then I stop, I go, okay, now I'm gonna hit record, okay? All of a sudden, they're like, ah. And they're ready to do the interview, right? Because people get nervous initially, but once they realize it's just a conversation, have at it, have the conversation. So the number one reason people go on the roller coaster is you stop prospecting. Happens to me, happens to my team, happens to every realtor under the sun. You get a deal, yes, I got the deal, and then you start working it, and it becomes all consuming, when it really probably doesn't need to be all consuming, because I found out, I went away the summer of 23 for 6 weeks. And the only reason I went away was in my RV, I just drove cross country and followed Ed Sheeran like a Grateful Dead groupie. And when I went though, what it did was, it made me so I couldn't do buy side, couldn't show a house, couldn't do buy side. I said that year, I'm getting out of buy side production. I want to give it to the team. So I forced myself to do that. But what happened was, I realized, hold on, we can do anything we want if we really think it's possible. Now the byproduct of that 6-week trip, and I did 6 weeks, I was truly not in the state, right? I was gone. Came back and had my best listing month ever of 10 listings. All of them were listed while I was gone. So if you think you can't list a home and you need to be physically in front of someone, that trip proved it. Now, did I FaceTime them? Did I Zoom them? Yes. But don't take that as you can't do it, right? It's not impossible to do. I signed plenty of listings during COVID that weren't in person, and it taught me I could. I got really good at being on video in a home and going, well, this span, I'm 6 feet tall, this is about 6 feet wide. Like, I learned how to do with what we had, right? So instead of doing open houses, I was doing virtual open houses, and what's cool about that is my clients loved having me and no one else in their home. I do the video, get 5 people on, and I do it, and I became really good at doing that video. But I didn't go, I can't run an open house, I guess I'm gonna be poor. That wasn't an option for me. We just had to figure out how to do the business the way we were gonna do the business. So I believe in 3 prospecting pillars, 3 things that you're good at, that you do a lot of. And what that means is, you may buy leads, nothing wrong with that, as long as you're profitable. You can buy whatever you want, as long as it's profitable, right? You can generate leads, so for instance, if you do postcards, that's cool. Some people, postcards are it, have at it. But you need to do 3 different pillars at one time. And then every 18 months, add something new, because your routine gets boring, right? And that's how people get burnt out, when they get bored. Block time for deals. This is a huge one. I tell all the team members 1 hour a day, and they spend 15 minutes. If you give it all morning for people to interrupt you all throughout your prospecting time, you're going to not get anything done. How many people at the end of a real estate day have been like, I've been in the office 12 hours, and I pretty much have nothing to show for it. Like, it happens a lot. And it's because our business is a business of interruptions, right? It's when we're at the demand of whenever our clients do it. But maybe if you craft the message a little differently, it works differently. So everyone who works with me, almost everybody, clients, business partners, my broker, they know if you call me before 10 a.m., you're getting voicemail. I make no apologies about it whatsoever. After that, all over it. We're not brain surgeons. No one's calling me to do CPR on anybody. If it's before 10 a.m. and I have all those tasks I need to do, there is nothing that has to happen before then. On closing day, I may make a little bit of flexibility if there's something going on, but I usually try to get them at 1 o'clock so it doesn't interrupt my 10. I tell the attorney when I want to do it. I don't let them dictate it, because, as we know, how many closings are pushed by attorneys by you guys? How many are at their convenience or their vacation schedule? I seem to be bringing that deal. I have a conversation with them, right? I protect my time fiercely. Like that time, prospecting time, is so important. So I suggest, if you're gonna do maintenance on your deals, set a time for it. Now, it doesn't mean you have to do home inspections, you have to do those, I do all those things too, but I always put them towards the afternoon. And when the person says, well, I got a 10 a.m. slot, I'll go, I got another appointment at that time. And they'll go, well, what about 2? 2's good. I just have an appointment at that time. That's all I say. I'm not like, oh, I have to run to the vet, I have to run to this. I don't say anything, I just say I have an appointment at that time. Everyone assumes it's gonna be a client appointment if I'm making it. But our lives are so blended up. You're giving up dinners, you're giving up all these times to do showings. You have to gain control of your time. And if you don't, you're always gonna be on the roller coaster. And that is, like, I can give you all the data in the world to prove that this is the case. Protect that time. Engagement. So I kid about this, and I feel bad sometimes too, when people come up to me like, did you see my post? Probably not. I consume. I mean, I don't consume, I put out. I put content out. I don't really consume content because it takes a lot of time to consume content. How many of you look down somewhere and you're flicking through? Or how many of you had a TikTok timeout? TikTok, my wife's banging on the bathroom door, she's like, come on, and then TikTok times me out after whatever that period is that I've watched too much TikTok, right? So at that point I was like, I'm not gonna watch this anymore. But I do produce, or I'll follow people that I want to follow who are gonna give me more business. Like, for instance, Glenda Davis, people put out a lot of video out on, I wanna copy what she's been very successful at and do it with my own twist. But otherwise, I don't really consume. And I feel bad sometimes when people come up and say, did you see my post? I go, oh, I must have missed it, the algorithm, you know, the algorithm every time, right? That's how I get around it. But I consider this my job. Like if you ask anyone that meets me in the morning, I'll have a script ready for a video sometime during that day. Oh, and in the last thing, I think I have like, I don't know, 350 videos you can do or something like that. There's a list that's at the end. So you'll have, if you don't know what to do, grab the name of the video, put into ChatGPT and say, I am this type of person, this is how I behave, this is what I like, create a video on this topic. And it'll create a video with your twist on it, and then you can just say the script if you really want to. So much so that I did get a new tool, which I'll share, it's not even in the list yet. So, who's scared to talk on video? It's okay to be, I think it's unnerving, right? The worst part is you want to read from something that you've drafted because it gives you that whoopee, that security blanket, right? So if you can take that script and read it, and let's say the camera's here and I have the script here. If I can just read it and say, hey, this is Glenn Baker, I just want to let you know blah, 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 blah. And then I can say, boop, correct my eyes. And all of a sudden, my eyes are now up here. I read the script, my eyes are corrected, right? It's a button click. It's not a complex, I have to do this, I have to edit a video. It's a button click in an application called Descript. D-E-Script. Now, who's good at video editing? Leave my hands down.
Please.
Okay, I am not. I'm impatient. I want to click record and send it, right? I don't want to do any editing. And that's, if you'll see a lot of my videos, they're live because I want to edit. I want to just send it. My attitude is the opposite of perfect is done. I just do it. Now, if you're not great at video editing, Descript, you record your video, you upload it. Everyone knows how to upload a doc because you all use Dotloop and all these other signing platforms. You upload it. Descript runs for a minute or two in the background that says, here is the entire video's text that she does. It takes your spoken word to text. You edit it like a Word document, and then the video is edited for you.
Oh my God.
It is insane. If you're looking for an app, it doesn't need to be so complex. So much AI and stuff is out there. And you can, if you want to put B-roll and all that complex stuff, you can do that too. But just a basic video is super simple. I'll show you one at the end, just remind me. I did a video for a product that we're putting out for renters to buyers. I literally did the video in 4.5 minutes, right? One take, because I was reading. I literally, like old school, printed up and taped it at the bottom of my where my recording was, and I hit the button and I'm reading it from it, and you can see my eyes just tracking up and down. I hit the eye correction. I hit on my, you'll hear I hit studio voice. It was like, oh, this is Glenn Baker. Like it changed, like everything but it did it all for me in like 4 minutes. I'll show you that video when we're done because it's a wild one. And that was my first Descript production, but it was really good and I was stunned at the outcome. No special skills other than word editing, right? So I really consider this a job, a big part of the job. What we do, I talked about 90-day cycles. I call it accountability is love. So if I would imagine people, some of you in the office are pretty close. You've been together a long time, right? If you care about somebody, if you go to somebody's funeral for a family or friend, you care enough about them in the office to care, right? So why not partner up and say, hey, can you help me and I'll help you? Let's be accountable. Like it doesn't require any massive effort, but someone to call you out and be honest with you when you're not doing what you're supposed to do. I spent the entire day on this deal. Well, why? It's a really simple deal. Nobody calls anyone out. And it's not out of angst or haha, I'm smarter than you. It's, hey, I'm your friend. I care about you. Like, we're accountable for each other. And that's, at that level, it's so important. And I kid because you notice how I talk about accountability all the time? We're like a crazy accountability probably. I liken that. In fact, my broker says it's like to the degree of nauseum. But it doesn't need to be that way. It needs to be a few things you measure. And trust me, when I say, I think we're more accountable than most, but we have the same problems everyone has. I had this cool platform called Fellow. This is a screenshot from Fellow. It's a listing generation platform. And the team put in our leads from our database. And in the last, since February, we started Fellow in February. Those people that we've been face to face with, we've talked to, met, open houses, listing appointments, that's what listed without us in our own database. I think it's like 11 million bucks, if I recall correctly, in commission this year. So 679, I did this morning, I updated it. 679 of our clients in our database listed without us. If there is nothing that makes me want to hold people more accountable, if as a broker, Janet's probably like, holy God. like I gotta tell you, like, so, but you, until you start to measure something and you go, holy cow, that was in my database, we just lost all that. And then I went back to the team this morning, I said, hey guys, how much would that commission change your life? Like, wouldn't pretty much everything go away? Like, the amount of money you're talking about like $1 million a person on the team, a lot of money. So when I talk about accountability, it comes from data. You have to have some data. If you go out for a listing appointment, put the address down. Did you win it? Did you lose it? It doesn't have to be a system. It could be a simple spreadsheet, right? But you have to have something accountable. If you say you're going to make calls, so you'll see on the left side, we measure conversations, appointment set, and appointment met. That's a big measurement for us. Every single day we talk about that. Conversations is pretty strict. Over 3 minutes, real estate related, and someone that you haven't talked to in the past. That's a pretty big number, if you think about that. That 3 minutes, someone you haven't ever talked to about real estate. So it has to be net new. Now, open houses, everyone hits their number on Sundays because you meet 8 people, right? 8 people I had good conversation with and they all count. Not saying that they convert them all, but open houses are a good one. So the conversation piece is a big piece for us and we measure it. And every day I get on a call and I say, hey, who hit their dial for conversations? And so they raise their hands on our web call. And the people who don't tend to hide because they don't have any control of their business. But they're also the ones that complain about the business. I have the same problems in my team as every other broker on earth has, every other agent on earth has. It's no different. It's just that I hold them accountable. And I tell them, if you don't do these things, you can't be on the team. Brokers can't really do that because it's not a way to build their business. I'm spending quite a bit of money on agents. Now, the way I say it is, think about the metrics though. Think about the things that you do during the day, right? What are the top 3 things, if you go back to prospecting, that you need to do each day? Conversations is a must, right? We're pretty sure if you don't have a conversation, you're not gonna get a deal. It's just the nature of the business. But a conversation, how do you guys define a conversation? Like, what's a conversation to you? Phone call is one, right?
Face to face.
Face to face. Do you consider someone commenting on a social media post a conversation?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't actually, and you think I would, right? When it comes offline to a message, it's a conversation to me. Because think of it, I like in this, you say, Glenn, like your post, and I just walk by and don't comment. That's not a conversation, that's almost offensive, right? And that's what people do on social media, right? But when they make a comment and then suddenly we're having a back and forth dialogue, I know I'm taking it to another level. That's a different story. So you kind of have to think that through and say, how many of those do I need to have to make the money I want to make? Because it boils down to that. I can tell you that every 3 conversations that I have, net new conversations, I get 1 deal. I can tell you that on my team, it's 40 to 1. Big difference. I have a gap to close. And that gap, the more you close it, the more effective you get, right? But you have to think about that in terms of your conversations, right? The conversation is a big piece of what we do. And it's not as simple as, like a good friend is an easy sale, but when you go out and you're trying to speak to someone that you never spoke to before about luxury properties you've never sold before, that's a hard sale, right? Requires prep, requires know-how, requires language, and things that you probably don't all have. That's when you go, hey, I kind of need an accountability partner who's done this before in the office. Who is the one that sold the most luxury listings? Would you mind coming out? I'll give you a piece of the pie. Let's nail this thing. And then you got your first luxury listing that you're going to do all the digital and video on, and you're going to get your next listing from it, right? That's the key. But it all starts with that accountability piece and digital everywhere. Any questions so far? So when I was down in Maryland, I had a book I was giving out. The book's name, if you haven't seen it, it's on Amazon. It's called Cold Calling Sucks. And the subtitle is, and that's why it works. I am not a cold caller, truth be told, just not my thing. Didn't love it, never picked up the phone and was like, oh, thank you, solar salesman, for calling me. I'm so glad you called, what can I do? That's not how I am, right? But warm calls, all day long. I love warm calls. So what do you guys define as a warm call?
Someone you've already spoken to in the past.
Yeah.
Something you have something in common with, even though you may not have had a conversation with them before.
Correct. That instant, like, you get on with them on the phone, right? It
Right.
just works, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So for me, I don't do any outbound cold calls, but I do a bunch of warm ones. And this is how I do it.
Hey Ann, I saw that you filled out our web form for 226 Oak Street in Boonton. And I was just checking in to see if this home was something that you liked. Unfortunately, this one's under contract, but I do have one coming in Boonton in a week. And it's beautiful and very similar price range, same number of beds and baths. Let me know if you want me to send it over. Give me a thumbs up or reply. Thanks, bye-bye.
So in the video at the end, it would show them a thumbs up. She gives a thumbs up. I now have a warm call in my head. I've changed my mindset to say, if they interact, what's that?
You sent the video?
Yeah, via email. My first, 2022, I sent 10,000 individual videos. Sounds crazy, right? But they're only like 30 seconds. If you're prospecting and making phone calls, I make videos. They're no different, just a difference in the way we approach things. Now, the funny thing was, she gave me the thumbs up, I called her, and when I said that I had another house coming in Boonton, it was an assumption, probably a broad assumption, because I didn't have a house coming in Boonton, but I knew I would eventually. And she gave me her specifications. I went and found the house in Boonton and sold it to her. And to me, that was a web lead that she saw my face. I was just being me. She gave me the thumbs up, and that was all I needed in my head to not be a cold call. It's a mind game. Cold calls are a mind game. It's how you look at them. If I said to you, come in and make a cold call, it stinks. If I said, come in and make an appointment, it's a different mindset.
Are you guys still using Mojo and?
I don't use Mojo. My team does.
Right.
Yeah.
I know Steven was big on.
Yeah, he actually won't do anymore. He's
No.
quit. And Steven was a masterful cold caller. Like, built his business on cold calls. But he doesn't do them anymore. Only video.
Okay.
And I'll show Steven's stats. I'm gonna give you what he did in terms of business. It's insane, crazy numbers. So you kind of get what I mean about the mindset of how you make a cold call. If you can make it a warm call, I do it through video. As soon as I have a video out to them, I've already met them. They've met me, they know who's calling. Hey, it's Glenn. Now, I'll tell you a couple of tricks that I do. One is, if I call someone and they're kind of combative, even though you sent the video, sometimes people are a little combative. I'll always know someone's name in the neighborhood. I don't know everyone's name in your neighborhoods. I don't know everyone's name in every neighborhood. I go to the tax record and I pick Joe's name. So when I call up, I'll say, hey, it's Glenn. You probably saw my signs around the neighborhood or know me from Joe down the street. I was just calling to check in to see if you knew anyone that was looking to buy or sell. What happens then? The total mind game begins, right? Because he's like, my neighbor Joe. Well, you could have 10 neighbors Joe, right? You could have one neighbor Joe he's best friends with. If he goes, hey, jerk, don't call me again. What happens if I go back to Joe? Nobody wants to be that person. Changes the conversation so at least they're open to listening to you. So as I mentioned, it's not just a video, it's knowing what I have to say on the call to get to the next level, get the defense down so they know that I'm not really trying to dupe them on anything. And think of all the call, like, has anyone ever had a listing that you took, like withdrawn conditionally or withdrawn? And then the people call and go, oh my God, I got 35 phone calls, and it's the way it works. Somebody wins them. I just watched one in Dover, and it's a team that's doing phone calls, and they are excellent at the cold call conversion. Not my business, because I don't like dialing for dollars that way, but I do like this. So just the mindset and how video can interweave into it. I'll show you how it looks in a video itself. So Steven, I'm gonna use Steven for my team's example. Steven joined, he was doing a lot of low dollar transactions, like under 200, 220, that range. And he was doing a lot of them. And when he came to the team, he was actually doing a reasonably good transaction count. He was just working his tail off like crazy. And I said to him, like, what do you want to be? What do you want to do? Where do you want to focus? And he had said, I love Lake Hopatcong. I go, wow, you got some heavy hitters in the lake. You're gonna have to do something a little differently than they do. And then we deduced that video, walkthroughs, and anything, I made him a promise. I said, I'll promise you any listing I get there, I'll co-list with you because you need your name, you need a stake in the ground every opportunity you can get. If you squander but one and not do video, I won't do it again. Accountability, right? For me, I don't care if I get platinum, whatever it is. In fact, I made a goal of not getting platinum, and unfortunately I got it again. But I care, because platinum doesn't mean I made money, right? We all know there's some agents that made platinum that made not a dime because they spent all of it marketing, right? What we put in our pocket is the most important thing, and what we enjoy with our families and friends is absolutely the most important thing we do. So when I talk about Steven, he came into the business, and I have a little video here that kind of talks about what he did. He put this together, actually. And he's on track to about 11 million. Took 3 months off this year, and now he's having a hard time getting the engine started because he took 3 months off this year. But you saw the numbers, right? He went from 2022 when he joined and went straight to 9 million. All video. That was what he did that year. Video, video, video. Every chance he got. We went out and did lake videos. We did listing videos. Anything that we had, I had him in the video with me. And I'm a huge believer in video made him what he is. In the lake area, he gets 3 calls a week from YouTube from out-of-state people about the lake. Doesn't generate any leads that way on his own. He doesn't go out and meet, he's not getting someone from California. Video did it because it's evergreen content. Here's the things you want to know about Lake Hopatcong. Here's the 5 best marinas in Lake Hopatcong. Here's the communities that I love in Lake Hopatcong. So he's all fair housing compliant, right? I love, not a ranking. But he does these, and the videos are great. Like, people say to him all the time. And if you watch his first to what he did now, holy cow. Like, I'm sure he wants to delete all the first ones, and I won't let him do it. But you get better over time, and it's pure practice. But he made real money doing it, real money doing that. Let me just go back to that. So then, offers. This was the non-fair housing compliant one, just so everyone knows. But this, oh no, this one was for my son. This was for my son. So I look at, I was never in real estate when we had in-person presentation of offers. But I know in corporate life, I liked in-person presentations. And so much so that when we did in-person, just making sure we're on time, in-person presentations, we had this thing, we had a multicultural team, AKA 98% of them were from India. And that team came in and had serious cultural boundaries with people in corporate America, because they'd never been here. They didn't operate like we do. We had 2 different types of dialogues we had, not language, like dialect, but 2 different dialects. So I'd have to walk in a room, and my job in the room, and I got a lot of training on it, was to walk through and identify compatibility between people and assign it real time. Room full of 12 execs, I'd have to walk along, talk with them, and I'd be going like this. And that meant Bhavesh was assigned to the person I just passed. I'd literally assign people as I walk around a room. And what we did was, I figured Bhavesh's personality to that person with all the intelligence that we did by doing background on that person. What's his wife, what's his kids, what does he do for church, what does he do? We didn't come into a corporate meeting with no information. I wouldn't go into a listing point with no information. We did the same exact thing in these instances, right? So when we made our presentation, it may have seemed like that presentation was not heavily scripted, but it was very on script, just like most listing presentations really are. If I had a recording of all mine, they'd probably all go the same exact way, right? So I think that when I talk about video offers, it's the same exact thing. I'm building a construct. How did I create the offer? Who am I presenting to? What am I trying to appeal to? If I know that the home has a veteran loan on it, you can be damn sure I'm telling that person my person's a veteran. Right? Mm-hmm. Veterans take care of veterans. Right? It's just the nature of it. And truth be told, amongst our team, we have the #1 most sales in the state for veteran, and we're nowhere near a base, right? Picatinny isn't a base that produces veterans, right? It's just not the way it works up here. There's not enough people, but we grab people who are getting deployed or leaving deployment and coming back, and we do a lot of them. So we know we have an uphill battle. Like, no one's like, yeah, I want that VA loan, because people misunderstand them. So we take it as our job to educate, and we become very passionate. I tell that kind of stuff in the videos, right? You have to, because there's no other way. Hey, this person's down payment 0, but they paid it with almost their life. He's a two-time Purple Hearter. Are you, as an agent, gonna go, I don't like that veteran loan? Probably not. Probably not. And if you were sitting in person, and that person was sitting during an in-person presentation, do you think it would probably get disclosed somehow that they were a 2-time Purple Heart? think so. Right? So I say, think about how you do it. Now this art, it's an art form, doing a presentation to somebody and having a conversation with them. This is a live, so there's no eye correction, there's no editing. This is truly, I just do it. Because I believe that if I was gonna do an in-person presentation, all the micro expressions and things you see won't be real if I script this, so I just do it, right? And here it is.
Hey Jessica, Glenn Baker here. Hey, presenting my offer on Lake. I just wanted to give you the rundown. So first and foremost, our offer is $725. We're waiving all inspections except for the tank suite. The buyer will address the smoke certifications with the town of Boonton and all the associated equipment. We have no offers on any other properties, and we can close in as little as 21 to 30 days. This is a VA loan. This is for my son, and I am taking zero commission on this deal. So that in essence gives you guys $15,000 more in pocket based on the 2% commission. So net out a $740 offer, and it doesn't impact appraisal, which we won't have a problem because I know I'll get it on this with the VA loan. Stephen Dominic, the lender, do tons of deals with him. He's the #1 VA lender in the state. And we have closed them in as little as 14 days. This one would more likely be about 21 because it's a multifamily. And
So most people's concerns with veteran loans are inspections, right, and timelines. We close in 21 days. I could give them 10 different people. I literally have a sheet where I say, here's the 10 people, talk to them, see how fast we close. Because what I say is not BS. Now, there was one thing BS in there, did anyone pick it up? When I give back my commission, does it increase the sale price of the house? I realized that after I did, I just sent it. I didn't realize, my math didn't math. But I wasn't doing it to be disingenuous. And you can tell that I wasn't trying, I did it off the top of my head at the time. They did make 15 grand more, it just wasn't on top of the price, right? It's included in what they net. But I think that it's important because I touched on concerns that people have with veteran loans. I'm trying to send a message saying, we do this all the time. And the funny thing is that veteran loans almost always appraise above what a conventional or an FHA will, but most people don't know that. So I know I need to educate both the agent and their clients if they want to do it. That's why that video makes a world difference. We did win, by the way. Now, video education is another one. This is cool because I got to tell you, like, I'm looking around the room, and there's a mix of I'll call it experienced agents that this industry was built on your back, right? We're all here because we stood on your shoulders and saw a little bit further, right? And then there's agents that are young. And there is an education that can be given by every single one of you of something you did, whether it's a transaction, whether it's know-how. And I did this one because I'm pretty, let's put it this way, not terribly planned, and I just do a video as a knee-jerk reaction to something I read. That's generally what my videos come from. And this one was a FSBO. I bought a property, a flip property, from someone in Lake Parsippany. If you're ever thinking of doing a flip in Lake Parsippany, don't. The inspectors are terrible. Worst I've ever dealt with.
How did you make out on that one? Did you sell it?
I'm
You
still
were
18
keeping-
months in.
You kept it as a rental, didn't you?
No, I'm selling it. I want out. I don't want to do anything with the town. I grew up in the town too. My dad worked for the town. But the inspection process has been really difficult. So if you know, most builders won't build in Parsippany anymore because of this. So no secrets. But I had the house on the market, and it came back and it was more of a nightmare than I even anticipated. I'm usually pretty good at like asbestos tile, all the things that can go wrong. Well, it ends up that his brother, who was gonna sell the house, sold it directly to somebody, and he sold it for 40 grand less than what I would have sold for. I was like, I had it locked and loaded, ready to go. And his brother was kind of being a wise guy, like, yeah, I sold mine. I go, yeah, for 40 grand less than it was worth, with commission already out. And I thought, I'm gonna do a FSBO video, right? And that's what so I did a FSBO video.
for sale by owner.
Got
That's
two
a nice
FSBO
ring to
listings
it,
on
doesn't
this.
it? Well, it actually says low ball offer me. FSBOs come in two camps. One is overpriced and they chase the market down, or two, ignorance is bliss, thinking that they got the best price, but they actually left money on the table. The Clever Research Real Estate Survey proved that $46,603 are left on the table on average by FSBO sellers, meaning that they've undersold their home.
So you get the point, educational video, right? This one went up on YouTube, and then I got a call from two FSBOs directly related to it who were chasing the market down. And it tells you that putting out content that's educational, sometimes a little bit of friction. Like if anyone's on my social, you'll notice every once in a while I'll put up a post that draws a lot of attention, a lot of comments, not political, maybe sometimes about drones, maybe sometimes about something else. And then immediately following that, I put a listing online. There's actually a logic and reason to it. I have engagement, I'm building up engagement. Facebook rides the tide. Put your listing up at the same time and you ride the same tide. But you don't get that without comments and without engagement, so sometimes you gotta put a little Easter egg out there to get the piece from it. Who does listing videos? Does anyone do listing videos? So, when I got into the business, I made a promise to myself, and then ultimately, when I made the team, I made them make a promise in their ICA. Every listing over $330,000 gets a video. Every one. So if you look at our history of listings, they all have video. The house has to be horrific to not have a video, like really bad. And here's the logic, and I use it so simply. 50% is for the listing, 50% is for you. So if you spend $450 on a listing video, you just spent 200 and some odd, 225 marketing for yourself, and 225 satisfying the marketing for the client. I assure you, you will be perceived differently when you have videos. I go out with a stat that shows that only 12% of listings on the GSMLS as of last month, you have to update it regularly, actually have video. Some have slideshows like the Ken Burns effect and that stuff, but true 3D video, like walking around with a gimbal cam and such, 12% have it. All 12% outperform their listing by 2%. $450, 2%, average sale price 500,000. I think that that's a really good service to your client by getting a video. And I think you made the commission back in what you had in your half of the deal too. It's all how you perceive it and look at it. It's investment in your business, right? So listing videos are intimidating. Find somebody, if you want to use the guy that I use, be my guest. Whatever you want to use, there's plenty of people out there. Highly suggest them, and then I also make one other suggestion. There's versions 2 of them. One is MLS compliant, you not in it. The other is you in it for 10 seconds. It's not a, hey, I want to, like you've seen the one where the guy goes, and then they run through that. I'm not that guy. I'm just not that guy. It's not me, not the way I do things, right? But I can go, hey, it's Glenn Baker, Mars Agent Team. Just want to let you know this cool little house of 416 Boonton, in Boonton is 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. Why don't we go inside and take a look at this thing? All it is you in that short little span, right? Not a lot. You can record it 15 times if you want, whatever makes you happy. But I can tell you that it makes a world of difference in how people perceive you, because once you have that, you post it on social media, you're now on social media. People believe you, they see you, right? It's not the I post once in a while. The coolest part about it is, you can take those videos if you want, use some crazy AI tool like Opus Clip or whatever, and let it cut it up into 30 different versions and put it up over a period of time. You know what everyone's gonna say to you? My God, you are the busiest agent I see. Perception is half the reality. You will look a lot busier. People always say to me, man, I am so sorry to call you. I feel like you're really busy. I'm like, you wanna grab a coffee now? I always turn it that way because I'm not that busy. I am busy, certainly, I am, but I'm not too busy to ever talk to anyone because I know that that's what this business is all about. So, listing videos are definitely for you. I would say, do you guys, like a lot of like 900 to above listings? Anyone have those? 900 above? So, yeah, and I don't have a ton of them. I'm really, I always say, I'll sell 3 500s before I sell 1.5. That's just I like the people, I like the interaction, I like the mix. Just my deal, right? Like I may change over time, I'm not subscribed to it, but that's how I perform. What I do certainly high-end listings, done in Montville, done in the Lake area, done that stuff. And this was one, now this is a very funny story. This realtor, I decided to move in 2008 from Boonton to another house in Boonton that was vacant. And I went and saw it because my family had outgrown my current house at the worst time in real estate history to find a house and buy a house, because there really was not a good thing. Everything was in disarray. I go there, and the agent I meet was a dual agent. I didn't really know what a dual agent was. I was a corporate guy. I thought I was smart. Wasn't very smart at all. So I didn't ask anything about representation. They represented both sides of the deal. I took a shellacking on the house, basically with no inspections, took it as it was. Now, I knew I was tearing the house apart, but I was never even given the option, so I was pissed. Like and don't go look up my house, please. I don't want you to know who that person is. But I'm not in the business anymore. That's where the story's going. So then, I'm selling a house in Boonton Township, and this lady walks in, I'm like, she looks a lot like that person. She was. Now I have dual agency on the house she's gonna purchase, and I sell her that house. Then she comes to me and says, I'm getting a divorce, I'd like to sell my house in the lake. And I killed it on the one deal, and she felt like I did everything right, definitely helped her out. Like, I didn't do dual agency in the wrong way, I did it in the right way. Even though in my mind, I'm like, getting it back now. Like, there was a little belligerence in there. And I went to go sell this. Now, I take no happiness in divorce. I had a horrific one. I had a Lifetime for Women special divorce, for sure. As the town of Booton found out quite notably, as a person who's pretty popular in the town. So divorces I do a lot of, and I do a lot of estate sales, and I take them to heart. They're very important to me. And the reason why is, when someone says, I'm having this problem and I don't know what to do in my divorce, I go, oh, well, here's what you have to tell your attorney. I'm not an attorney, I'm just telling him to go to theirs because I was through this and I got it. I was one of the 2% that got all 4 of my kids' custody, which is very, very rare in the state of New Jersey, right? So I learned the system really well because it was a fight for my kids' lives, like literally. So I got to know the system really well. Is that related to real estate? Sure is. When a divorced person comes to me and the wife says, he's abusive, I go, okay, here's the steps you need to take. Because today, we live in a state that dual income is necessary to live in a house, right? We have taxes and everything is a burden like you wouldn't believe. But when you go and you can give advice on how maybe you can live apart, because I was fortunate, I just sold the company at the time, and when the court said, you guys have to live in 2 homes, I'm like, okay, so suddenly we double our income? Like all that money comes from where? That's why people have to live together for 18, 24 months in misery, right? So I kind of counseled her through how to do the divorce, and she goes, he's a monster, you're gonna hate working with him. So I go in for the video shoot. Now, first time I'm in the house, I did a quick run around the house, look in the window, quote for the house, and I gave a nuts price for the lake area. Like, it was crazy. It was next to like a super busy marina, bar, like everything that could have went wrong with the house, and we got the number. When we did the walk through the house, with him, I could clearly tell the tension was as thick as you could come tonight. We get to the kitchen counter, beautiful kitchen counter, and I go, I'm gonna come back at 7 tonight, is that okay? He goes, why? I said, well, one is twilight shots, but I said, I'm actually gonna throw a party. He looks at me like, what are you talking about? I go, I want you to be in the party, but I'm gonna do a lifestyle video at your home tonight, and I'm gonna bring a whole crew of actors, my staff, and we're gonna throw a party here, and I'll bring the beer and the food. You just need to be here. I kid you not, we get there, the whole backyard's wide open. He's got all of his ring toss games, everything out. And this husband is now in the video, which his back is the one, he's to the left here with the glasses. And what it did was, it created, number one, a lot of marketing stir. Like it's my highest viewed reel that I've had, is this video. But on the other side, I won him over by showing him how much I love the house. You know, I spent not a dime more on his lifestyle video, but when you see the video, you think I spent a fortune on it. And we threw a party in his backyard. That's me and my son. That's one of our agent's kids. That's him in the middle. Nice guy, actually. Terrible in that. That's my team. I called them all, I said, I need a favor, I need you to come here tonight. We're gonna do this video. And they all basically came, had a beer, sat by a lake, played a game, and it was really, but how do you sell a lake lifestyle without something like this, right? So, $450. 3 listings from it. Right? I'm giving you the stats because I don't use these videos ambiguously. I want you to know what you can get from a particular one, right? I make an investment, I want the investment back. And I'm selling her now a commercial property because she's a client for life. Craziest backwards story ever, like how the world went. So, but lifestyle videos are super important, right? Authenticity and the tools that you use. No matter what you do, you have to put out content that's actually you. I see too many people, like does anyone hear of KCM? You heard of KCM? Yeah. Great app. I'm more of a KCM guy than I am an Inman guy, because I think Inman's kind of negative. They're a downer to me. There's always doom and gloom. KCM's very up about our business. And I don't know if you all agree, I think 2025 is gonna be berserk. Like that is my prediction across the board. I'll come back a year from now and you can whip me if I'm wrong, but I'm telling you, I think it's gonna be the craziest year in real estate we've ever seen, and it's awesome. And we're the survivors, right? Like I kid because I gave the stat to the team. I'm like, all right, so we added 66% more transactions like we wanted to, and the market was down. Who's the survivors? Like, I'm like, we're doing great. Like, that's incredible. And if everyone's up in a bad year, what's next year gonna look like? So I use that for you guys and say, this next year I think is gonna be off the charts, like just incredible. So having authenticity is key. And what I mean by that is, we do a lot of veteran business. I'm trying to get a tally together because I had this crazy idea last night. I was driving and I wore this jacket over my ugly sweater, which was a hairy man's chest with Christmas piercings on it. It was horrific. I hope it doesn't make it to the social media thing. But I wanted to win the contest, and everyone knows I'm super competitive, so I wanted to win. As I was driving, I text my wife, who's the team admin. I said, "Can you tell me if every single person on the team did a hero deal this year?" And she came back immediately and said yes. I said, "Can you give me the hero count? How many people were in the hero groups that we used to provide?" And closed to date is 181. 191 is if everything closes for the rest of the year, 80 of them. So 80 are in the heroes group, meaning teachers, healthcare, military, police, and fire. We're so proud of that, and we try to make sure everyone understands it. And like this was one, this guy on the right is Tim Taffin on my team. If you've never met him, just a remarkable human being. Like, to the point where I can't even explain how great he is. We were doing a video. I said, hey, we should do a video in front of Remax's sign, and I'll be in my Chiefs gear, you be in your Marine Corps gear, and my son Ryan will be in his gear, and we'll have them pan by, and we'll be in like Remax wear, and then we convert over to our fire wear to say we're fire along with that, right? And he calls me after we do the whole video shoot. He goes, hey, I totally screwed up. I go, what happened? And I paid for the video shoot, right? He goes, I realized that when I knocked off my bar, I put it upside down. And I go, we'll reshoot it tomorrow morning. And he goes, I'll pay. I go, Tim, you cannot possibly put yourself in a Marine Corps uniform with your banner upside down, because they're all gonna think you're a joke, right? They'll know. All the Marines will know. None of the civilians will ever know. And I go, and by the way, how come you didn't friggin' tell me you're a 2-time Purple Heart guy? You never even mentioned it whatsoever. And that's just the type of guy he is. So he literally only really does veteran business, right? I think he's done one deal in his 2 years with us. When he came to me, his prior broker said, why would you give 30% of your commission away to these guys? And I said, and then he said to me, what do you think about me doing the Homes for Heroes with you? I go, I'll give you 5% more. Totally different mindset, right? Because I know every one of those hero deals we do, we get 3 deals for it. So by helping people, we get to help more people to make more money so we can help more people. Like, what's wrong with the whole process? There's nothing at all. It's the most amazing thing. So let me just tell you a story about this one. We did this video about half a year afterwards. Winfield was in the Lions Hospital. Everyone's heard of the Lions VA Hospital. I will tell you, I have a very poor opinion of that hospital and their attendees. I asked them if I could help more people like Winfield, and they said no, because they wanted to be on the dime and get their payments. So helping these folks wasn't in their agenda for us. I was very upset about it. Winfield was there. He had 14 days left because you're only allowed to be there for a certain period of time. He said to Tim, I need to get out of here. And my niece is a real estate agent, but I really don't want to use her because brothers take care of brothers. One's an Army, one's a Marine Corps guy, right? And Winfield ended up purchasing in Mine Hill. He put out $1,000 total for his entire purchase. Tim covered it ultimately for the home inspection. And then the team furnished his place. Showed up with his coffee maker, showed up with everything. And when I didn't meet him before the closing, I met him on video day when we brought all the stuff to his house. And the most genuine guy, and I said to myself, like, that's an impact that nobody else, no politician's gonna reach down and touch him. We can. Like, we could do this, and we changed his life completely. In fact, every month, at the end of the month, Tim meets with him to make sure that all of his bills are tidy. That's how much he cares about this guy, just because he's a veteran, right? And I say we do what we do because they did what they did, right? We wouldn't have the ability to do what we're doing. So when this video came out, it was, I won't show you the whole thing, but I'll just show you how genuine this guy is. Winfield, and he's just a good guy.
But how about you? I know you were in the Army, right?
Yeah, I served in the Army. I was with the 82nd Airborne. I was in from 86 to 88 and from 79 to 85 reserves.
That means a lot to me. Again, thank you for your service.
Well, thank you. You helped me.
No, that was in the Marine Corps. We've talked about it. I was in 2005, 2009. I deployed to Iraq 2 times. It's kind of my military history.
You know, I got hurt while I was in the service. I had
Mhm.
a couple parachute landing accidents. Yeah, I experienced that type of trauma.
Oh, obviously, I know you're a disabled veteran.
My wife didn't want me to come back home because of my PTSD. When sometimes I act out, I was in the shelter.
Lion shelter.
Lion shelter, and I was.
He would take showers, they have service dogs there, and the service dogs were allowed to go to the bathroom in the shower, and they'd stomp it through the grates. Like, so when I tell you, who wouldn't in this room have a mission to help this person, right? So that's why, if we didn't put the video together and put it out, no one would ever know his story, and he tells the story. You're welcome to hit our page and take a look at it. But what's behind the story is, he then starts to spread the word to all the people that he knows need help, that we can help them get out of there. And that's impactful in a way that I could never imagine in corporate life or anything else, right? So when I talk about putting up videos of things you do, this is one that you want, right? Because it's gonna, one, it's gonna help others because they're gonna see it and want us to help them. 2, we helped him and now we're telling the rest of the world, you could do something like this. The impact is so much greater than just the real estate piece is my point. And I think that people underestimate it. So when we talk about authenticity, like you can tell Tim's not there playing a part. He's a brother who took care of another brother, and these guys are actually friends today. The best part was he doesn't really drive. And then I get a call from Tim. He said, hey, he's trying to figure out something to do. And I said, funny how the worlds collide when you do good things. I just happened to be in the Mine Hole Fire Department the following Monday, training them on electric vehicle fires. And I said, hey, do you have like a spot for someone that wants to just come around and clean stuff and make it right? I can tell you he's gonna do it right because he's military. And sure enough, they took him in as an honorary member. So full circle, how this weird world that we live in rewards the right activities. And I just use this as a really good example of don't be afraid to show what you did, but you also gotta get off the dime and do it. You gotta, and nothing tells it better than video, right? Nothing tells it better than video. So, I will answer any questions. You are welcome to scan this QR code. What this is my tech stack. And it changes a lot, but I do update this a lot. I'm not selling you any tool. I change tools a lot, so I will forewarn you. When you see one this week, it may not be on the list next week. Hey, how's it going? But what I want you to know is that nothing is on there that I don't use. Some of them can seem like they're expensive sometimes. Like I wouldn't suggest an individual agent doing Fellow. That was a really expensive tool, cool tool. But Descript is not on here yet. Remember, Descript is a big one. That is an awesome, awesome tool. And I told you I'd show you that video real quick. This video literally took like 4 minutes. Let me just find it here.
Did you know you can own your dream home sooner than you ever thought possible? Welcome to the Morris Agent Path to Ownership program, a smarter, faster way to get to home
Definitely see
ownership
something like
and making
going
it a
on.
reality. Whether you're
Well,
a first-time
and the
buyer
audio
or
doesn't sound like
looking
me
for
because I
an
put on
upgrade,
the
program
movie
is
voice.
designed to guide you each and every step of the way. Now here's how it works. You sign up on the Path to Ownership platform, and the best part is, just signing up earns you $175 in rewards. And then, you can use the platform
So,
to plan out your home
the way
purchase,
that looked-
understand your buying power, and create a strategy for how you're going to purchase your home. And then, once those goals are set, you check back with the platform often. And are you ready for this? The rewards are
So,
awesome. Pay your
What
rent on
happened was,
time.
it took the
you get
video
a
that I imported,
5%
and I recorded it, had a
reward
bunch of
credit
bobbles and
each month for the
ahs,
rent.
things like that.
What that means is
And then it made it in
$2,000 a
text.
monthly rent.
And then
You
all I
get
did
$100
was
into
went
your
in,
reward account.
and you delete the
And
text,
you check your credit once a month.
and it deletes it from the video.
$25 credit. Take our
crazy.
educational
Have you
series
done any
and you
with
get credit
language?
for
There are
those
ones
too.
that you.
Yeah.
can
Our
just
goal
understand.
is
Yeah, I don't have any
your
purpose
home
for it, but Kenny
and
does.
have you a homeowner as
So-
quickly as possible.
4 minutes that took me to do the whole video. Astounding amount of production you can do pretty quickly. It doesn't have to be as, backgrounded and perfect and all that jazz. It took me longer to set up the lighting than to do the video. But your phone, I'm gonna apologize. If you're on like an iPhone 10, it's probably not the optimal device for that. But if you're on anything past a 13, you have great video capability right in the palm of your hands. If you have never seen, I'm gonna bring it up here, RPR, I'm sorry, not RPR, I meant to say KCM. KCM has a tool. Show it to you. Okay, so it has a tool, and basically it's a video tool. Every day they put up a video, credit scores is today's. So you click it, oh, I'm sorry, come on, let's go back, sorry, script. Today's is benefits of buying a home this winter. If I hit record, I'm gonna rehearse, and I'll hit record. Waiting for the perfect moment for the housing market could mean leaving, you know, this is really fast, holy cow. Cool weather development means less competition, so you have less likelihood, but you get my point. And what it does is, it dropped a slide in the background. It's done. When you're done reading the script and looking at the camera because you've done it, you hit done and post to social media. And you have done for you social media. And you just follow the script on the top, and it puts all the slides in there for you, and then it goes back and forth between your faces automatically. And you can do a video a day and they have good content. They actually have really good content. And you can do it right there. Tools are so readily available, it's crazy.
Which one is that one?
That was called KCM. And I actually have an account and I share it. Beds are coming for me, but I share it with the team. But it really is a great way if you have a gap in what you're gonna do. Everyone who has ChatGPT, like I tell you, if someone name a video topic you've always wanted to do.
How about end of the year review?
For home value,
Yep.
create a video script in a friendly tone that is about home equity reviews at the end of the year and planning for an awesome financial future. I'll blow it up. Now, when I tell you crazy, like it's telling you to put it in the living room. Here. Bright living room with holiday decor in the background. It says, so, what's a home equity review? It actually puts the script together for you. If you take this out, or print it, like I did for that other video, and actually paste it, record it, edit in the script, you could have this video done in no time.
You should on voice to text.
Yeah. You can literally have the video done in no time. I'm a Tom Ferry fan. Yesterday, I was listening to a podcast, and he had said, if you are a professional realtor and you don't use ChatGPT for up to 30 minutes a day, you are being passed by. I thought it was a bold statement, to say the least. Not one I would put out.
Glenn, do you have a preferred, like OpenAI, do you have a preferred format that you like for ChatGPT?
I create some GPTs of my own for things
Okay.
I do. Like for instance, I have a listing description. I'm terrible. I don't know about you guys. Anyone who does listings, you probably belabor your listing descriptions, right? Like 3 hours.
Toughest part of the listing.
Horrible. So what I did was I took 10 of my listing descriptions, which I do in Docs, Google Docs. I uploaded them to ChatGPT. I told it to learn my writing style. And then I said, do not ever use these fair housing words. Do use these 10 words that Zillow says get me more views. And make it in a lighthearted manner that's engaging, and do not put visit my, won't last long. I have like all these terms like all the things they say won't last. When I go into my GPT, I think I can show it to you. It's a little bit small. I apologize for that. Let me just refresh this. So if I go into, I don't know why my menu isn't loading. Well, anyway, at the top, I have a GPT that's called listing description. I click it. I take the 10 best pictures from my listing, put it in the ChatGPT. It creates the complete description of the kitchen, the backyard, the home, colonial, color, everything. I literally today do not write anything, and it doesn't write it so that an AI validator will identify that it's AI written, which helps you with Google search, because I've tweaked the GPT so much that you just load the pictures, it knows all the words, and all I have to do is now, because it's able to look up in real time, all I have to do is give the address. I'll say, write me a listing description for this address, drop 10 pictures, comes out and I put it right up. I don't think I almost never edit them anymore. but it's learned from me, right? It didn't just pick it out of a hat. That's the difference. And you can tell when someone posts an AI social media post, right? Like it is crystal clear.
Yes.
And when they're not, it's different. And everything's coming out of the wind tunnel looking the same, so you have to be able to look different. And that's why I think like programming GPTs, there's lots of videos. It's not rocket science. It is a pain. Yeah, the first one's painful. Once you get past that, it can save you so much time. And that's, time is the thing that's of a premium, right? That's what, I look at it like it's a multiplier, and that's the key. But I love like ChatGPT, I live on it. When you go out to a listing appointment, remember when you pull all the stats on the neighborhoods and all those things and try to get all that? I just ask ChatGPT now. I have a listing appointment questionnaire. I put in the town, it tells me everything about the schools, it goes out to niche.com, and it tells me what everyone's complaining about in the community, so I know all the complaints. And I literally walk out in 1 minute with my full background. I brief it beforehand, because I'm an idiot, I can't remember things. And I read it right before I go into the meeting. And now I can go, yeah, what is going on with Lurker Park in East Hanover? Man, everyone's chit-chatting about that. I know nothing about it, but I know it now because ChatGPT tells me, right? It's really powerful if you use it the right way, really powerful. It's not like make my social media post better with emojis. Like that's as basic as it gets, right? Where it really becomes a value is when you can't figure out how to make a script for a video, you tell it what you want in your natural language and it creates the full script for you. You're gonna need to tweak it a little bit, but it'll get you over the hump of the creative block. That's what I love about it. Questions?
Wowzers.
What's that?
Wowzers.
Cool, right? But ChatGPT is like, I'll say it's a core activity. Is it up now? I wanna show you one last thing. It's coming everywhere. I use Lofty. I know, I was a KB Core guy for sure. And I know I gave you guys a training on it, but I switched over to Lofty for other reasons. Let me just show you one here. What was the person's name this morning? It was wild what it did in here. Who was the person? They asked about something. Oh, Shane. Check this out. So, it's thinking. Give it a second. See at the top where it says thinking? So, this morning, my email's connected to this. I came into his contact, and this morning it said, hey, don't forget, Shane asked you to update his rental agreement with these things. And the coolest part was, I could say talk to Lofty, and I'd talk verbally to my computer, and it wrote my email response to him. So when emails come in, they've now mated it together so that at the top of every contact is their most recent contact email that you haven't replied to yet, because it knows you haven't replied, and says, do that. It's insane. Like, if you think it's not coming, it's coming faster than ever. AI chatbots, they're there. I don't love them. Some of them are a little wild sometimes. They go off the rails a bit and people curse at them. But I'll give you one last example of where it's coming to. So I have all the challenges of now an office, right? Because I've opened an office. And I didn't realize how many challenges there were with opening an office. So you thank these two for all they do, because it really is hard. And one of them was, this year, for some reason, I picked up a ton of rentals. And I had one in Randolph that I had 440 phone calls. You tell me anyone in the room can field that and do the right thing for everybody, and I'd say you're a liar. It's just too much volume. And you know what else? I missed a listing appointment because it was buried, because I didn't get to it till 2.5 hours later because I had so many voicemails. Pick it up, return the call, pick it up, return the call. So I said to my wife, who's the team admin and ops person, I said, something's gotta give. Like, if we're gonna do this in volume in any way, shape, or form, I need better leverage. So we went out and we were interviewing AI phone systems. And what they'll do is it'll answer the phone. And for me, it's super important that agents can talk to me, not the team lead that just disappears. So what it does is it says, hey, thanks so much for calling Mars Agent Team at RE/MAX Select. Can you tell me what you're calling in relation to? And if they say a rental, great, which rental? Because I have a process with rentals where I don't actually engage with the people until I get them a text message. Because the text message tells them the terms. Everyone's kicking tires and doesn't understand what they're getting into with a realtor, so I tell them right up front. But I want to get to the text message, but to get to the text message, I got to field the call or an email. Email's simple. Comes in, says the address, sends it out to them, right? But voice isn't so easy. It was going to voicemail, and every one I had to go in, listen, put it into the CRM, send them a text message. Well, now they come in and it says, oh, great. I just text you that information related to that property. If you have any other questions, press 1. And it literally tells them everything in the text message while they're on the phone, and they have the option to get to me. If they text one, then it gets to a person. I put a barrier, but I'm servicing them in the way that I want to service them. AI is making that completely possible. So it knows the address, I preload what my text message will be, and then I do it once and I'm done. 10 minutes of setup, and I never have to field another rental call until I'm ready to be serious about it, right? And I even have a schedule link right in there. If they want to schedule, they can schedule right then and there. I'll bring you, I'll meet you, no big deal. And it shows my true availability, which is even better. It's in their control. So these tools are coming, and I think I put it this way because I hit a lot of agents along the way that are like, I'm getting out because the buyer broker. You guys found any resistance to this?
No.
I think it's the coolest thing on earth. We have an agreement with a buyer, and truth be told, I didn't do them because I never had bailouts. So I never did them up to when we had to do them, and then I was like, no problem. I had a preloaded one ready to go, send it out right away. Not one has said no, right? So, and I look at it like that would seem like a huge mountain to climb for us. This is kind of the next mountain to climb, and if you're not, someone's gonna lap you. And I'm not saying you have to be on the cutting edge of it, but I can tell you when I go into listing appointments, I told you, I go in and I give that information to them, and I say, these are the things you should look for in an agent. Right? Tell them the things they should look for in an agent. When you call them, did they answer the phone? Right? That's a big question. Or in that AI directory, if the person says, I want to speak to Glenn, they get Glenn. It doesn't go to Glenn's voicemail, and then if it doesn't go to Glenn, it goes to Liz, because I want people to be answered when they call. I can't promise it every time. I can promise you I'll get back to you, right? And I think it's important because as people grow and teams grow and volume grows and transactions grow and you get busier, and next year you're going to get busier for sure, you have to be able to have these tools at your disposal, and it's all leverage of time. Like, I would much rather not sit there and take 400 renters over there. I'd rather go to dinner with my wife and enjoy a dinner. I'd rather see my friends. I think that's why we all did this, for the flexibility. As I say to the team, we get into real estate flexibility. You can work any 20 hours a day you want. It's flexible. So, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to do it again. Yeah, go ahead.
How do you systemize your, and if you answered this already, just, yeah.
No, go ahead.
that's what I was saying. How do you systemize your buyer-broker agreement with people you haven't met?
So I have a person in the Philippines. All we have to do is give them the name information. They preload a dot loop. We have a dot, you guys use dot loop or use DocuSign?
Brokerman.
Okay, so same thing, you have folders. And in the folder, I have a folder that's just called buyer's agreements. And I just do that in that folder. Once they turn into a buyer, then I move them over when I make my first offer to a loop or another offer folder.
Is your assistant in the Philippines doing that for you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So they're shadowing you and on your team calls daily?
They are a part of the team.
Right.
Yeah, and if you're ever looking for VA, they need to be in with you. They can't feel like they're second rate.
Right.
They have a say, they're creating process. I actually tell them what I want them to do, and they create the process videos and then show it to me.
That's great.
Right? And my background was in outsourcing, so I have a little bit of an edge on that. But the reason it's important is you will not get the product you want from anyone you outsource to until you define what the product is, right? And that's where people make the mistake a lot. They want to just throw it over the fence, but if the process isn't you, then it makes no sense. It's kind of like we have this super elaborate transaction management process for us, but the agents do it, not a transaction manager. Because the agent needs to own the transaction, in my eyes. No one's doing enough volume on my team. If they were doing 50 deals each, I'd consider it a little bit different, right? But they're all roaming in that 12 to 24 range, and they need to manage transactions. So we have this process that I've created that I want the customer to experience. Every one of them complies with it. If they don't, my person in the Philippines sends them a message saying, task overdue, task overdue, like they'll get 100 messages, and no one wants to get 100 messages, they all go into the work. So
like
whatever you
sticking with
do,
transactions.
my rule is if I do it 3 times, I make a process. Anything I do more than 3 times, I make a process. It doesn't mean it needs to be elaborate. It could be an Excel sheet, it could be a Word doc. Have something that someone can step in and help you someday so that you're not running your tail off. Or you can go on vacation. Like, how many people go on vacation and work the whole vacation? It's not fun. Yes.
More specifically, how do you counsel, when you tell the VA, are you saying them like 6 months, 1 month, one-time showing, like all those details? How does that get translated into the broker
It's just a
agreement?
simple intake form I created in Google Forms.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Yeah, and we're a Google shop. I don't know how many people use Gmail and stuff, but it's so fluid, right? It's just so easy to do everything there. We do all of our shares, so like when When my first video I ever did was for a family that had a father who owned the house, sold it to the daughter, and then the father became fully disabled from MS. And it's a cape, and they had big stairs in the front of the house, so he hadn't been in the house in 12 years. Tells you how you learn impact that you have on people. I did the video, she called me up crying when I sent it to her. She goes, "This is the first time my dad could see the house in 12 years. I did all this work, he never got to see it." And I was like, wow, I just gave myself goosebumps again. But that video is still on a share that I see them look at, right? I make it available to them through Google. Well, all these tools are so simple and available to us. All you say is share to that email address and it's theirs forever. So I have a client-facing folder and everything that goes in there is theirs. Everything that's in the other side for the transaction piece is mine. But these tools are so readily available, you just have to look at them and go, what do I want it to do for me and how do I set up a process that's gonna work? More questions?
Spectacular.
Thank you.
Unbelievable.
And anytime, I truly believe in the pay it forward piece, like and this business, it'll eat you up. I tell you, like there were times Bob's talked me off the ledge sometimes, others, I've been like, I'm gonna blow the whole team up. Like I'm just getting rid of everyone, I'm gonna hire an admin, I'm gonna do this myself, I'll make more money. I go through phases, just like, so where I'm at, I'm just a little bit further ahead than most. And I can tell you that all the same things, and the only way that I was able to stay rational was to kind of put a process where I was falling apart and where it was killing me. I hired my daughter, like we're a family business a little bit too, but I hired my daughter full time. She has an iPad, which has access to my text messages. And she puts reminders on my reminder app for every message that I haven't replied to. Something so simple like that. I would pay a VA $2 offshore all day to do that, just that for me, because if I miss one, I take it hard. I beat myself up. I'm very self-persecuting, so I feel like I've let someone down, and I don't like to do that. So just the littlest things can make a world of difference in your life. For me, it's become such bedlam because I have so many people pulling from the team perspective that it's very hard to make sure I'm always servicing. Simple fix. Give her access to the iPad. She can do my text message. She doesn't reply to my text messages, but she will put, if she doesn't see a reply, it gets on something I close out at the end of the day every day. It's just wild.
Where are you managing your processes?
Tech stack, you mean?
Okay, tech stack?
Yeah, so Lofty is everything prospecting. I will tell you, KB Core has made leaps and bounds. If you're not really using it, you should. I left because there was a little tiff with me and them, and they have done an enormous amount of work to make this I mean, if I was picking platforms, it's these two, and I would not buy mine knowing KB Core is where it's at now. I'm just being belligerent. So, but it's a great platform, honestly. Really, they said to me that I was a 99% user, one of their only users that uses almost all the features in their app. I can tell you it's a great app, for sure. So replace Lofty with KB Core in your instance. Dotloop for management, doc management, any of those will work. All of them, or SkySlope, anyone, they're all gonna do the job that you need to get done. In between that, all transaction management and like process management, anything to do with a transaction once it moves to the transaction status, I use a product called Sisu. And I've used that, I was a really early adopter, like 3 years now, 3.5 years. And that I use for checklists, commission bills, full process transactions, so it'll tell me every stage of the transaction. And we also use it for accountability.
How do you spell that?
sisu.co. Really good folks. Seems to be grabbing a little adoption. I'm never a fan when EXP picks something up because it usually overrules. And here's the reason why. They have just so many agents and the experience level isn't so great. And some of them are great. Like there's people that go there and kill it, right? But you have a lot of agents that crush the technology side. Like KB Core had that, right? KB Core took a beating when EXP came on because they have so many experienced people hitting it. Their tech support crumbles. I yet to be told what happens with C. So I have pretty direct lines to the CEO, so I'm pretty happy with what they do for me. And one thing, I've been to a lot of conferences throughout my professional life, not just in real estate. Anyone that wants to really understand the everything past the prospecting side, the CSU has a conference in March. Spring, I don't know how to say her last name, Burchton. She runs Utah Life is the name of they're Real as their broker, but she has Utah Life. She went from 75 transactions to 1,750 transactions in 4 years. Super impressive. Like I've never gone, put it this way, my wife came with me. I said, you gotta come because we gotta absorb this. We're in the car on the way back to the hotel from the first night, and I go, so what'd you think? She goes, I don't wanna talk. It's too much. She goes, there's just too much information. So if there's a conference that, it's about Sisu, but it's really about how you build a business and how you sustain the business, it's a worthwhile to go. It's in Utah, but if you're gonna spend money on a conference, it was the best one I've ever been to. And I've been to some of the RE/MAX ones, I've been to plenty of Wakert ones, it was just over the top. The people that you're in the room with are such high performers. And we'll see, but it's cool, the platform's good, but it takes a lot of work to set it up. That's why I think it's gonna fail for EXP. It takes a lot of back office work to set it up to work the way you want to, because I don't wanna go, remember when everyone at KB Corn, every email that went out looked the same? Hey, we're following up on our open house, and every email looked the same, and I was like, man, I don't wanna be that person, like, that's not how I am. Even when I send a blanket message out, it feels like it's for you, like my Christmas message is already made. Hey, congratulations, just reaching out, I know it's a day after Christmas, I'm sure your house looked awesome, love for you to send me a picture. I'm just congratulating you on your first Christmas in the house, can you tell me how it was? Sounds like it's for every person in the room, right? But it's a message I made for one that goes out to, I guess 89 people or so. That's what I want people to remember me by if I get hit by a bus when I walk out of here. Like, this guy was a genuine guy. Like I say, he was an honest realtor, he was a good fireman. Those are the two things I wanna walk away with, right? So know that a lot of the tools you're gonna see take a lot of work. If you're planning on really scaling, do it. If you're not, a Google Sheet with a checkbox next to every single one is absolutely fine. Like, it's a matter of scale. I couldn't manage it for 15 people. It's even better than 15 people, managing it on the CC platform that I use. But an individual can use a worksheet, and it still can be customized for how you want the customer to experience the picture. If you were buying the house, how would you want to feel? Like, when people go under contract, they get a package, has 5 moving boxes. Like we have, hey, congratulations, welcome. Like, that's what I want to feel. I don't want to feel like I did when I got the dual agent on my house and I hated her now as a client. Please don't put that on video. But it's a different relationship now, right? And I think if you think that way, you're gonna have so much repeat business. And I will tell you the one thing I've told my team through and through now, and I tell this to everyone that I meet, if you are not going back to your existing database right now, you missed the boat. You're gonna miss all of what next year's gonna have to offer. It's that slide I showed with the $450 million in sales, that all slipped through our fingers in our database. If we had made the phone call, reached out and said, how you doing? We would have been top of mind and we would have not lost all that. The gold is in your database. And we have experienced agents here that have a lot of database. That's where the gold is. And if you haven't called, do what I do, apologize. Hey, it's Glenn. I feel so bad. I haven't called you since COVID. I'm an ass. I'm that honest, right? I kid. If it begrudge me one thing that I do, like at funerals, I recently had one that was a sale that I did, and I knew their son. And he passed away recently. And it hit me, because he was so bright. I just remember him so bright. And the only thing I could think to say when I gave her a hug was, this fucking sucks. Because it does. He's 14 years old. Like, this is not how it's supposed to be. Say it like it, and I don't put that on social media, but be honest. Don't feel like you always have to be sugar-coated or super polished. Because sometimes just being a real human, giving a hug and saying what they're thinking. Like, everyone says, anything I can do for you. No, this sucks. It does. And I know it does. So here's why I'm gonna say it that way. And I recommend that. And that genuineness, if you follow it through with all of this, people are gonna come to you. Driving home from Antigua, I was in the car, and the girl that said, I met someone at the hospital. She's an ER nurse, my son's, I guess, maybe a future wife, I'm thinking. They're buying a house today, we're negotiating a house in Boot. Off market for him, so he stays in town. And matter of fact, right after this. But she said, so-and-so said she knew you. And I go, I don't know the name. She said, when I mentioned you, she was like, God, he is a celebrity. And I'm like, far from it, if they only knew. But she sees what's on social media, right? And she thinks that she has a relationship with me. And I'm okay with that, because I'm putting it out there as I am, not as this isn't the Mr. Beast, right? I'm not doing that work. I'm putting out there what I think. If I have a problem with my Honda Prologue car, I put it out there and let people know. My RV, people know I'm an RVer, people know I'm a fireman, people know that I'm a guy that if you call me at 2 a.m., I'm gonna come with a truckload of tools. Like that's what I wanna be known as, not as a fully polished, this is the only way he does it. It's okay to do polished, but just know that genuine sells every time. The bobbles, the ums, the ahs. And if you think your hair's out of place, man, I had a day, we were doing full video, went out, I had black stuff. I don't even know how to describe it, down the side of my face. I do all the videos. I don't look in the mirror, so that you guys know I just don't believe in it. And I, when I gel my hair, I do this and I walk out, just so it looks less gray. And I walk out, do the video, come back, and my wife goes, "You still have all that smudge on your face." I go, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "You left this morning with that on your face." I go, "Why don't you tell me? I did 3 videos today." I looked at the videos, I'm like, send it. Most people wouldn't. Just send it. And you know what's funny? A bunch of people made comments about it, like funny comments about it. I don't care. But no matter how you look, no matter what you do, just be genuine and you're gonna make money. I'm telling you, like, it's money in video for sure. So.
Fabulous. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.